motion to go back into regular session?
Make a motion, Chairman.
I'll get it.
Once
We're
again,
having some issues with the audio now.
come when you're ready.
That's fine. Is this? Somebody sing a song.
Ours is ready to go to the fair. Kids are ready.
I'm sure
This is kids.
the mom is waiting.
We're going to fair, kids night. And the night we fail.
We're going Thursday.
It'll be less crowded. Tonight is the kids night, right? We're gonna do a special deal. Is the video on?
Video, I'm almost there.
How many kids now?
14, almost 12, and almost 6. Oh, is it?
How many already got?
Well, got a pretty good idea. Our gender appointment is 2 weeks officially. I don't know what this woman we're looking at out there on the screen. They're like, yeah, that looks low. I'm like, okay, yeah, look at my sounds gonna be.
Okay, we're ready.
They did that with Amy, thought she was born. All right, I have a motion to go back in regular session.
Make a motion to go back in regular session.
Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Floyd to go back in regular session. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Do we have any action from executive session for a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I do. I would like to make a motion that we hire Christopher Hutchins as our interim county administrator with his compensation package as follows. We will have a $2,100 salary, and that will be paid weekly. The second part of that, we will have a monthly $1,200 allowance for housing, travel, and incidentals.
Okay, you hear the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Floyd. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. So, assuming you accept the offer just made the motion?
Come up here.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. When we start Monday, it's coming Monday.
We'd like you to start Monday. The attorney will put the motion into a contract for you. You guys can review it together.
Okay.
It'd be great. We look forward to seeing you Monday morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion or business that we need just before we close tonight?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Kiefer, second Mr. Deloach. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And we stand adjourned. We'll call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting on October 24th, 2018 at 5:06 for a minute of time. I'm asking everyone if they would just rise with us for the invitation and then sing the pledge of allegiance. Father, we thank you so much for this evening. We thank you for the gentleman who has Chris, who has driven here to share with us and to listen to us and us to listen to him. We pray that you guide us as we discuss together the business of the county and conduct this interview and make wise decisions in what you call us to do. Once again, what a privilege it is to be in Effingham County, to serve with such wonderful staff and public service, and we thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon our county. In Christ's name we give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we get started, just note that everyone here, but Mr. Reggie's not here with us today. And we have an agenda before us. It's a brief agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda that's before us?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
First, Mr. Rhodes, second, Mr. Floyd, to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And we have an agenda. See, I should say I see public here, not plural. And we appreciate you being willing to come and listen to all the people at this time of day. But thank you so much. The agenda has been published, and so hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at that. If you'd like to make any comments later this evening, just raise your hand, and we'll see if we have time for that after we finish our new business. So we'll move into our new business, and it is to interview a gentleman, Mr. Christopher G. Hutchins, who is with us today. A couple of us had a chance to speak to him about a conference call preliminarily. And we wanted the board to have a chance to discuss with him and talk with him, ask him some questions, and him share with us a little bit. And I'm thinking probably, Chris, you know about Chris?
Chris, yes.
It might be good if you would come to the mic, maybe, and that would be appropriate. And then we might just begin this with you telling us a little bit about yourself, and then what do you know about our county? Maybe you've done a little research, what have you seen? So start with about yourself and a little bit about what you can tell us about who you are.
All right, well, I'm Chris Hutchins, and I'm from Sandersville, Georgia. Hopefully everybody knows where that is, but it's up in Washington County, up in central Georgia. And first of all, I appreciate y'all having me here tonight. It was a nice drive down. It was 4-lane road all the way after I got to bed, so that was good. And a nice pretty afternoon to drive down. But I've lived my entire life almost in Washington County, and most of my career I worked in an industry that's really big up in central Georgia called the kaolin industry. It's a white clay that's mined and processed, so I'm very much a private sector kind of person, have that background, and worked there for 31 years. Left there in 2009. The company was downsized, and I took a package. I raised my hand and said I'm ready to quit and go somewhere more fun to work than somewhere that was constantly downsizing. Most of that time in that 31 years, a lot of that time I was in quality improvement, process improvement, cost reduction. We had a big initiative to reduce $30 million over 3 years, and I led that effort to do that. So I've kind of got a financial cost reduction kind of focus, process improvement kind of focus. In 2009 I left and I went into consulting, and in 2010 I consulted with a company in Perry, Georgia named Utility Service Company. They maintain water tanks and towers for cities and counties. And I was driving to Perry every day, which was about an hour-and-a-half drive, and enjoyed that, but it was just a little bit too far to drive. So the county administrator job came open in late 2010, and in my hometown, only 3 miles away from home. So I applied for it and got it, and was there for 6 years in Washington County, and left there, retired for the second time in 2016, January 2016. And since that time, I've gone back to consulting, and I've done some consulting work back with Emrys, the kaolin company I left, and I've done some consulting for another mining company. But the other thing I've done, I was put on a list. Dave Wills asked me if I would be on a list to be interim county administrators and managers. And I said, sure. So after a couple months after sitting at home, I went to Charlton County, way down in southeast Georgia, Folkestone, city of Folkestone. That was my first county interim administrator down there. Stayed there about 4 months. Went through the process of hiring their permanent administrator with the commissioners there. Same thing happened in Jefferson County a little bit later that year, and Jefferson County is right next door to Washington County, and almost exactly the same thing. 4 months, went in, helped them finish the budget, and helped them hire the new county administrator there. Twiggs County was number 3, and it's a little bit toward Macon, and I've been driving back and forth and did that late last year, and I continue to consult a little bit with Twiggs County. In fact, I was over there day before yesterday. But they have hired an administrator too. So in all 4 cases, including Washington County, I was on the interview team and helped the selection process, helped facilitate the selection process with the commissioners. Got interview questions I can reach and get anytime, and things like that. Of the counties, Washington County is only 21,000 people, but it's the largest I've served. So the other counties are small, rural counties, anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000. Washington County came in the middle of the Great Recession, and the kaolin industry had downsized, so it was really hurting financially. And so a lot of my time spent there was just kind of budgets and hunkering down and trying to streamline things and see how to do things more efficient during that time. I'm kind of always on the hunt for cost savings, kind of always on the hunt for revenues. And we did pass T-Splosh up there as a region, which was a very beneficial thing in our case in Washington County. And we did a garbage fee on our tax bill also. So we added some new revenues, but the main thing we did was reduce some cost there to try to get it in shape. When I got there was about $6 million of reserves, and when I left it was $8 million. So I'm right proud of that. That was during the worst recession ever. So Charlton County, similar situation, well, worse situation. They had no money, hardly. And so I tried to help them with some processes there and reduce some costs there. We got some new revenue sources, raised some fees and things like that, but reduce some costs too. In Jefferson County, helped them with an HRA plan, implement that, reduce some cost on the insurance. And then in Twiggs, they're really, really in bad shape, and I've really been working with them a lot on their cost reduction and process improvements effort. As far as major projects, kind of physical projects and I guess soft projects, while in Washington County, we redid the personnel policy manual, a major overhaul of that, introduced a new pay system that was a little bit less seniority based and more toward the job responsibility with some steps in it. Similar thing in Charlton County, almost exactly same thing. We went through a process to do a new personnel policy manual there and a new pay system. In both cases, we'd get HRA experts from private industry to come in and work with us and go through chapter by chapter, and went through that. Jefferson County, like I say, I worked on the budget there. It had just begun, and I finalized it for them. And in Twiggs County, I like to say I did the budget in 2 hours when I went there. I was there for 2 days and did the budget one afternoon in about 2 hours. Dave Wills had been there and he had started it, and I finished it along with the staff there really quick. And they were also implementing a tax increase, which is always really fun. And 2 television stations from Macon came and interviewed me on day 2. You know, why are you raising taxes in Twiggs County, kind of thing. So I was on the news that night, so that was interesting. And fiscal things in Washington County have a lot of roads. We passed T-Splosh. We did a lot of LMIG projects, road resurfacing. We're in the business of paving dirt roads from scratch and did 2 there. We built a small water park, renovated a couple of buildings. The grounds at the courthouse were renovated while I was there. We redid kind of a veterans park while I was there. I forgot to mention, we did a complete overhaul on the county ordinances in Washington County during that time too. So a lot of in my 6 years there, a lot of things were accomplished that I'm very proud of. Charlton County, in addition to things I mentioned, the EMS building, the landlord stopped renting it to us, and so we moved the EMS down the street to an old school, renovated the old school building. The Head Start in that county also moved into the school building, so we worked with that. Jefferson, not a lot of project work was done, but I did find some money for them. They have an old landfill, and there's a grant that the state gives for rehabilitation of old landfills. So they were tickled to get about $150,000 through that grant. And then Twiggs County, similar thing, found that same grant money for them, about $40,000. And I was there last year during Hurricane Irma. So we worked a lot during, y'all are probably very familiar with hurricane damage and FEMA and all that kind of stuff. So we worked a lot during that time on that. As far as Effingham County, I've done some research on it. I told, I think, Stephanie that when I first got to Washington County, I remember Effingham County was in our football region. And so I called down here to see how they did things and all that. I said, now you're about the same size we are. Oh no, I don't know who I talked with. Oh no, we're 50,000 people and more. So I just realized it's a whole different level here than the counties I've been serving. I know it's a growing county, but it's very interesting. I hear about the traffic issues earlier today, and that's a big issue there. These other counties I have, that's not an issue, so I'm going to have to set myself up for that. But I understand projects. When I was at Emirates, I've worked a lot with the engineers and things like that on implementing projects. The biggest project probably by far is in Washington County. We built a new jail, $17 million jail. We had to borrow, we didn't have the money, that much money, so we borrowed the money through publicly traded bonds, and we went through the process of getting rated and graded as a county through Moody's and Standards and Poor's. So that was a very interesting process. Worked with McCall and Associates as an architect for that jail, and worked with Dublin Construction on the construction of the jail there. So.
Very good. Mr. Chris has a lot of experience, as you can tell. I'm gonna let the board just ask, because I got the beach already, and we're looking for someone that can step into the role of the interim administrator. And we have about, I got with the previous administrator the other day, that 24 projects I've listed so far, that somebody's got to take the bull by the horns and go with it. So it sounds like you have a lot of experience for that. I'm gonna see what the board can ask you some questions.
What would you describe your management style? Are you a micromanager type? Are you going to get involved, or, I mean, not get involved, but?
I get involved. I don't think, I hope I'm not a micromanager, but I will intervene if I see something's wrong.
We've got a great staff. I just, I think we just, like I said, we're looking for somebody just to head things up. But I'm just curious.
I'm kind of an idea person, so I do a lot of thinking aloud. Doesn't mean you have to take my idea. You don't have to take 1 out of 100 of my ideas, but I do a lot of thinking aloud, and I am an idea person. I hear you have a great staff. I've heard that on the conference call the other day, so I'm kind of thinking maybe the board wants me to kind of focus on these projects and not focus so much on, HR or finance and anything like that, but I certainly am curious about things and will try to do things. One thing about being in multiple counties, you can always reach over to one of those counties and get something that maybe the county you're in then could use, and vice versa. So I kind of enjoy that. I hope I answered that question.
Like I said, our staff's pretty self-directed, but
Okay.
What are some of the first things you might would do if you give the position?
Well, I'd like to
What was
meet.
your first 3 or 4 days with?
I'd like to meet all the people, meet everybody, and write their names down so I can start learning names, phone numbers, contact information. I assume I'll get set up on your computer system, email system, things like that. I'll probably start getting a lot of emails. I'll start trying to figure out what the county administrator job here entails versus what staff does. Like I say, these other rural counties, county administrator wore a lot of hats. He was the HR manager. He was the finance director. He was, I was that. So that's going to be different for me, but it's not, it's not foreign to me, because certainly I was at a large corporation with kaolin industry. And so you said there was 24 projects. I'm very curious about those, and probably go visit the sites. You said all of them used outside engineers, I think, so I'm gonna have to learn who they are and meet with them.
We have engineers through UAM that predominantly does our reviews and handles a lot of our engineering in-house. But then we have outside engineers who design certain projects like the roundabouts.
Okay,
Ever seen some
Sure.
projects that way? These are not all construction projects, they're projects and common projects. They may be in the planning phase, they may be in the design phase, they may be in the bidding phase, they may
Okay.
be in the construction phase.
Right.
Some of the big items that we have. But like I said, good staff, the key there I think would be identifying and categorizing and, assigning lead people on each of those items so that when the new administrator comes in, they know who to go to.
Sure.
Go to Fiona for this, go to Chrissy for this, So making sure our staff is tied into each of these projects some way, because once you leave, that's one thing we want to see is that our staff is fully aware
Sure.
of all that's happening in that administrative office and participate to help.
okay.
And with what the chairman just said, and I know you and I had a discussion on it, but just for the other board members who didn't know, Chris did say that in the other positions he's had as interim, that he has assisted in hiring the next administrator to come in. He said, you would be willing to do that here.
Oh, yeah. I like to think I'm 4 for 4. All 4 I think have been very capable people and good for the community that they moved to. So, how soon I assume you're going to get started pretty soon on hiring the permanent administrator?
Yeah, if I can speak for the board now, I think that'd be one of your top priorities is,
Sure.
as well as making sure we don't miss any deadlines and issues with our current projects and situations, but getting with Vicki, Stephanie, and getting the information that we need to bid. We hadn't done that long ago, so a lot of information should still be available. It shouldn't be a difficult process, but we'd like that to be one of the top priorities.
Okay.
Agreed, I think. Hey, you said earlier, while they're thinking of questions, I'm always looking for ways to improve our finances here too. You said a landfill for, we doing a grant for repurposing a landfill. Is those grants still available?
Yeah, it's for the old landfills, the old whatever year it was,
We
1992.
got one that should just about be capped. I mean, 25 or 30 years ago when I was doing the audit here, we closed that out and had to do a sinking fund. And, yeah, that might be something.
You got, I think you pay $1 a ton. If you have a county landfill, pay $1 a ton fee. I forget what it's called, but that
We don't
goes
have the
toward it.
cost for them because we funded a sinking fund to close it and cap it, whatever, but might make a little note, that might be
Sure.
something.
Oh, I will.
You got us, so we got some opportunities to use that for public
Yeah,
service.
it's a reimbursement, so it reimburses you after you've spent the money.
Yeah, that might be a way we could do some things we've been talking about.
Usually work through a landfill consultant to help with that too.
Okay, it sounds like you get some good connections. Then I saw, heard something else you said about you helped with some health cost reduction. What did you do?
Well, in Washington County, some of the employee benefits were pretty expensive, and so some of that it just had to be done. At the same time, we never missed a pay raise. We gave pay raises, we never had a furlough. So a lot of the counties and communities and schools up that way were having furloughs at that time, if you remember back to 2009, 2010. So it was really a deep recession.
So the same, some of the benefit costs, which you reduce.
Employee insurance, employees started paying more. We switched to an HRA plan, which saved some money.
Tell me what that looks like, huh?
Health reimbursement account, a certain portion of it, say you got a plan with just say $1,000 deductible, you can,
Who funded that? Did the county fund it or did the employee fund the health reimbursement?
the county funded it.
So they put like $1,000 in an account, the employee could use that versus,
That's right.
okay.
That's right. Well, the way we're say you got a $1,000 deductible per employee or per dependent, you can buy a higher deductible insurance plan, say a $5,000 deductible plan, Blue Cross Blue Shield or whoever you have, and of course you'll lower your premium. Then you self-fund that difference between $1,000 and $5,000, if you will. The county does. And in every case, in every year, you save money. You're basically, assuming some of the risk yourself for that amount. Have you heard of
A
it?
little bit of a county nightmare for our human resource. But it sounds like you
Spend
did.
some time with it.
Huh?
Just spend some time with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. I mean, it's pretty administratively easy. You basically have to carry 2 cards. You carry your Blue Cross Blue Shield card or whatever you got, and carry your HRA card. And I thought the big issue would be providers wouldn't accept it, but never had a problem with that. You know, just go to the doctor or hospital, say I got an HRA, and it'll describe on the back of the card that the county will reimburse you for that difference in the deductible. So I've implemented that in Washington and Jefferson County. So.
Sounds good. Any other general questions from, we had talked extensively a couple of days ago, so I don't want to, Jeff, monopolize the conversation.
Well, one other thing that Chris has coming up is he is going to be the school board chairman for Washington County. And you told us that probably availability, I mean.
Yeah, my
you still
availability.
Commit to 3 days,
Yes.
possibly 4 days.
I'm limited because of that, and it's mainly training. Training's coming up between now and year end for school board. What happened was the guy that got elected in the primary withdrew, and after he withdrew, the way it works, the state party appoints someone, they appointed me. So I'm on the ballot, unopposed, so I should win. And wish me luck on that one. That starts January 1. The school board chairman itself is not that hard. You know, they meet once a month. It's on Thursday night. Knock on wood, it's not that hard. He tells me it's not that hard anyway. And but the training is 4 days I got to go to. My wife is also having some surgery in December, a couple of days. So I'm thinking if I can average 3 days a week, come down, generally speaking, come down on Monday morning and spend Monday night, Tuesday night, and go back Wednesday evening. That would serve me. I'm also a little bit active on our Chamber of Commerce, but I can shuffle that one off a little bit if that becomes a problem. I'm the vice chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and on the tourism committee, so I try to stay active. So.
Well, one thing that interests me while you're thinking more questions is your financial background. If you want to talk about that a little bit. I know you mentioned you worked on cost reduction issues for different people.
Well, I'm an accountant, so don't hold that against me.
So he not wanted to admit when he said he was an accountant.
Way back in the day, I got a degree from Georgia College and State in accounting. I did sit for the CPA exam. I passed it, but I never became a CPA because I went to work for private industry. And back then you had to work so many years for public accounting. In 1985, I got from Mercer University, I got an MBA specialized in economics and finance. So
But you did pass the CPA exam?
I did.
That's good. Very good. You can actually get in the private industry. You just got to work 5
You
years
can.
for a CPA
You
in the
can.
private industry.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it now. But I've never worked in Emirates, the kaolin industry. I worked in my official title. Some of those years was senior operations analyst. But I work with accounting very closely on costing products and costing processes and cost reduction and scheduling and production planning. Decide which plant made which product and things like that. So. I teach Excel, Microsoft Excel. So
3 days a week that you can work, that's in addition to the time off. I mean, that's not counting the time off that you need. That's the maximum you can do right now.
I think I can average 3 days a week. And like I told the chairman the other day, I'm always available, email and phone call, 24/7. So that's not a problem. I work from home a lot, even on my so-called days off. So I'll try. If projects need to keep going, I won't let Thursday, Friday, and the weekend keep it from moving forward.
One thing
I think I can do
see
that.
was, someone come in and really take the bull by the horns, set everything up like it should be set up, and communicate properly with their staff, and then be able to give a good pass down once we do find a full-time person for this position. Is that something you think you could do?
Oh, yeah.
Communication is just so vital for the county. It's so vital for our people who we got great staff, but we need communication between all of us. And secondly, the communication between the board and that position. I think we need to improve upon a lot. How would you tackle something?
Well, I email a lot, and I like to send out emails so everybody gets the same news, the same time, the same day. Of course, if it's something where I was picking up the phone, I'll pick up the phone and call you. But I'd like to think that things could work with email a lot, simply because it's more efficient, it saves time. But you all can, it's your, you tell me the way you want to be communicated to. And the staff, I've never had a problem with communicating with staff ever that I know of. So I don't think that'll be a problem. If it is, I'll do better.
What would you say the major accomplishments as an interim have been with the last 3 positions that you've had as an interim? What would be some major?
Well, in Charlton County, they wanted to do the personnel policy manual, and they wanted a new pay system. So that was the major accomplishment, I think, there. Other than that, they were building, they had a CDBG grant that I had to finish up. And I worked there, like I said, I was only there 4 months, and I was there 4 days a week, I think, then. And and I think I mentioned this, but the EMS was in a rental building, and we moved it to an old school. So getting that school ready, both for the Head Start and the EMS, were, I think, were the major accomplishments. It was a big deal, to move the ambulance, because it was right there on the main street, and everybody wants to see the ambulance and all that, and we moved it like 1 block away to the building, and, but it went like a charm, and put an old school building to use. Jefferson County just finishing their budget, pointing out the cost savings that I mentioned to you, the HRA and the landfill. And in Twiggs County, putting together a budget, because they had not had a budget done since 2012. They were doing a continuing resolution every year, and just getting that process up to snuff.
If you don't mind, give me the dates again. You think you would probably not be available?
November 15th and 16th.
November 15th and 16th?
And then December 5th, and I don't know what day of the week these are on. December 5th and 12th is some surgery dates. And then...
So 5th through the 12th? No,
just the 5th and the 12th. She's having some eye surgery.
Okay.
And then on the 7th and 8th, which I think is a Friday, Saturday. I think it's a Friday, Saturday of December.
December, yeah, I don't remember.
I think it is.
It's right.
That's right. So that's Friday and Saturday anyway. That's a conference in Atlanta.
So that's a weekend, so.
That's weekend, so that
So really you only have 2 days that you're not going to be available, 4 days you're not going to be available.
5th and the 12th of December and the 15th and 16th of, yeah.
On, the importance to me really is the end game of getting that permanent
Sir.
administrator in place.
Yeah.
Where you've been, and I guess you feel facilitate finding a permanent position, someone for the position.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've been successful there?
Yes, sir, I do. In Washington County, we hired a young man, and he was from, he had lived in Swainsboro, and he was at the regional commission, I think down here. And his name is Dustin Peebles. He's doing a super job there. We had in Washington County, they wanted to have an interview team, so we got the CPA and 3 or 4 other people along with me as a screening team, narrowed it down to 2 people. And then the Board of Commissioners interviewed those 2 people and selected Dustin. And that was our, choice. The other lady was very good too, but Dustin was our #1 choice, and he's, he hit the ground running. And good fit for that community. In Charlton County, similar situation, a very young man. He was a Marine, and he'd been to Afghanistan, and he had gotten educated at the Coastal College of Georgia, and he had graduated from there, and he put his name in the hat for there, and he won out over all the competitors there, and they had about 10 or so that applied there, and the Board of Commissioners themselves were the interviews there, so we just lined up, I think we lined up 6 interviews, and they interviewed all 6, and Sean Boatwright's doing a good job. In fact, he's moved now to Camden County. He's been promoted to there as their assistant county manager. And then the third person is Kelvin Lewis, and he's was hired in Twiggs County. He's from private industry. Twiggs got a few applicants, but a lot of people didn't want to move. They were from Atlanta. They ended up not wanting to move. And so he's right there from the town, and he's doing a really good job there. So yeah, I think I left out Jefferson County. They hired a local guy that was a school teacher, but he had a math background, so he was very smart, and he came in, he's doing a really good job there. So yeah, I think so. Twiggs and Washington use interview teams to screen them, followed by the Board of Commissioners making the final selection. The others, the Board of Commissioners themselves, just went through the whole process.
It sounds like the ones that were hired were not previous county or city managers.
None of them were.
That's interesting.
Not a one was.
Bring in some good ideas for private industry.
You know, if you can get the best local or somebody that has a lot of business experience and local government experience,
That's right.
but it'd be great to, not the man, I'm all over the idea of good business people. I mean, none of us really had experience with government before this, we become business people, you know. And I like having business people on the leadership.
I think most of the applicants were from private sector in those cases, you know.
But with smaller counties.
Smaller counties, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't want to move to a small county if you're from Atlanta or Savannah. It's probably going to be a different situation here. I suspect you're going to get a lot of applicants. It's my hunch.
Yeah, although we don't want to micromanage either, there's a difference in county administration and county management. And that's one thing we want to make sure is communicate to our applicants that, you know, this is an administrator's position, so it's really important that they communicate and, you know, at some level, almost everything needs to be run by the commission, you know.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a cursory approval, because this board really sets the policy and makes the decisions. Whereas usually in a management situation, they make a lot more, particularly by employees, they make a lot more decisions than the administrator does.
Okay.
Availability, just if we move forward to start, I mean, are you ready?
I can start next week.
You can start tomorrow.
Tomorrow's what day?
I'm just too
I'd rather start next week.
While the board is thinking about some follow-up questions, we got one of our good staff here, our sheriff and our fire chief, and human resource and finance and purchasing. Who else is there that I can't see, but does anybody there have a question that you said, oh, stay, let me ask a question?
I'd like to ask a question about the HRA that you set up. Where in the process? Oh, sorry.
Have the microphone up so we get
Yeah, as long as we all can hear that audio doesn't pick it up very well.
Okay.
It's not.
About the HRA that you started with the county, where were y'all in the process when you brought that up or when you started the HRA?
As far as the renewal process of the,
No, starting the HRA for the medical insurance.
well, when we went for annual renewal that first year after I was there, I had heard that you could save money by doing that, so we looked into it and just introduced it in the new plan year, which started in July 1st of that year. I don't remember which year it was, but it was like 2012 or 2011 or something like that. And what happened is, what you do is get a third-party administrator to do it for you.
Right.
So all you got to do is, that what happens is the employee will submit a claim and get their EOB, and then they'll say, okay, paid everything but $4,000. Well, the deductible is $1,000, so the county owes the difference, $3,000. Employee emails or scans and emails the EOB up to Admin America is who we used,
Right.
and they cut a check to them or to the provider for $3,000. Is
How
that
many employees did you think you had at that time or at that?
had about 110?
210?
About 130 employees, but about 110 were on county insurance.
All right, thank you.
No, 110.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
I'm not
a
used to
third party person to administrate it.
Yeah, it's-
My
it's-
concern was for you, having 400 employees trying to administrate a
No,
HRA.
they're easy to do. My question would be how far along we are in our process, our renewal process now, because we renew on 1 January.
Oh, you got plenty of time. They can set it up in 2 weeks for
Yeah,
you.
it's easy,
Oh.
yeah, but it's just, yeah.
So that's one of the options we need to look at, if the deductible went from, what is it now?
Do you use a broker?
Time's come up pretty quick, right?
Yeah, we have the 2 plans, depending on the 80/20 plan, it's 2,500 deductible for individual and 5,000, I think, on family.
Is that what our current is, or that's what?
That's what our current is.
Okay.
And then our 90/10 plan, it's 1,500 on the individual and 3,000 on the family.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I think we're probably getting a little off topic of what we're here for today. As interesting as it is, and I think it's beneficial as it is, we probably just need to stick to the interview process.
Yeah, it's just still a discussion, see if you can have it.
Can I ask you, you have a broker? You have a
We
broker?
do, yes, sir.
He or she knows how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
See, he's participating.
They should.
We're evaluating his ability to help us with a very crucial project. That's one of the example, one of the projects we've got, that I've got listed. So they're not all capital projects, some of them
Sure, oh yeah.
are personnel matters like that.
I mean, I honestly get bored if I'm only working on one project at a time. I like to work on multiple things at a time, so.
Yeah. Very good.
So we can help him out with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I hear.
You won't get bored, you'll sit down and say, it's time to go eat, you'll sit down, it's time to go home, that's how,
Well, I'll eat now every day, so, but I know what you mean.
never do alone, that's good, it's real. Anybody else on the staff? Anything you'd like to know? Question? If a hurricane was coming to our county, would you go the opposite direction, or would you come to us?
I do whatever I need to do. I call the EMA director and the sheriff and ask them what to do. How about that?
That's right, that's a good answer. Good.
Y'all don't have, you're too far from the coast to have evacuations, I'm sure,
Oh,
right?
no.
Oh, no?
No, we have evacuations, we do.
In the south end of the county?
We get some hurricane force winds about every other year, don't we?
The whole county has to evacuate? Okay, I'll have to learn about that one then. Hurricane Irma did come through Sandersville, but it was only about 50 or 60 miles an hour, maybe 70. But that's as close to, that's the biggest hurricane up there that we've ever had.
We know you can start right away. Is there any time limitation as far as being able to fill the position? I mean, do you have any other,
I really think, honestly, after, November and December stuff, I'm actually a little clearer in January than I am in November and December. Like I said, the school board only meets Thursday night, once a month, first Thursday of every month. I say that with a little hesitation because I'm not sure, but we have a good school superintendent now, and things are running pretty well, so I'm not going to micromanage her. But she, so I think it's really clear in January, although I would, think that the commissioners want to go ahead with the process and get the process started and interview some people as soon as you can. And if I need to leave after that's over, that's fine. I can certainly come back and help the new administrator, if it's somebody new to government or something, if that's who you pick, I'm available for that too. That's exactly what I'm doing in Twiggs County.
There'll be part of the transitional period, at least a week, to
Yeah, I can work through the transition. Yeah, I'm semi-retired, so I won't
But
leave
there's no
behind.
end date, I think maybe what you were saying, like, at the end of February, you have those obligations, or March, or.
I don't have a definite end date
If
now.
we need you for 6 months, we can have you for
That's
6
right.
months. We need you for 7, we can have you for 7.
That's right.
Any other questions? Well, it sounds like you have a lot of experience, both in the business and the government sector, and that's always good. I like the financial side, because that, to me, that's crucial, particularly in short-term engagements, but also long, to be able to manage a budget that's around $56 million, large budget, so appreciate that too.
You said earlier that Splosh is still a year or two away, so that won't be a short-term issue, a near-term issue,
I
will
think
it?
about 3 years from now, again, didn't we just do it 2 years
Okay.
ago? It's about 3 years, so nothing there.
Okay.
All right, is any Anyone else? Clerk, anything?
We've had several conversations.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and he and I as well, I think, you guys as well, but we wanted to re-ask some of the questions to make sure that those who are here get a chance to hear it, but I don't believe it since we've had a good conversation already. All right, no other questions? Mr. Chris, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. We complete our interview. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Lurch. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Roger Burdette. All in favor of going to executive session, discuss personnel, say aye. All opposed, no. And we executive session. You want to hang around and ask some questions when we ask the executive session? Nice to meet you.
Usually Jerry, where to all that.
Once in a while.
Sorry.